During their childhood, sisters Carlin and Nikki shared a close bond until a devastating tragedy shattered their lives. Right in front of them, their father killed their mother. 2 decades passed. Now Nikki lives in a spacious, luxurious home with her husband Corey and their adopted daughter, Zoe. However, Nikki's marriage with Corey has already begun to fall apart, despite their effort to keep up appearances for Zoe. One morning, after Zoe heads off to school, Corey tries once more to apologize for his betrayal, but Nikki, unable to forgive, remains distant. While out on her morning run, Nikki calls her friend April and confides that she's finally decided to file for divorce. Soon after drinking from her sports bottle, Nikki suddenly finds herself short of breath and collapses. As she fades, the last thing Nikki sees is someone looming over her. Elsewhere, Carlin, now a photographer, gets a call from her friend Tina reminding her about their dinner plans that night. Before she reaches home, Carlin is approached by a man who introduces himself as Lyle Peters, Nikki's attorney. He brings troubling news about her sister. Confused, Carlin admits she hasn't spoken to Nikki in years. At the same time, Corey consults with his own lawyer. He was unaware Nikki had any living relatives, having believed she was an orphan. The lawyer informs him that Nikki actually had an older sister, Carlin. The siblings ended up in different orphanages to better their chance of adoption. Critically, Nikki never updated her will after marrying Corey, so all her property is left to Zoe. The will also specifies that Zoe's guardian should control the finances until Zoe reaches adulthood. Carlin is named as Zoe's official guardian. Corey is completely blindsided. Since he never formally adopted Zoe, he has no legal claim to Nikki's property or wealth. Devastated, he realizes he must give up the house and everything in it. Carlin, aware of her responsibilities from reading the will, turns to Tina for advice. She remembers how, in college, Nikki tried to reconnect, but Carlin, burdened by their traumatic history, couldn't bring herself to mend the relationship. Tina gently insists that Carlin honor Nikki's final wishes. It's the least she can do, so Zoe won't end up in an orphanage like her mother once did. Soon, accompanied by Lyle Peters, Carlin arrives at Nikki's luxurious mansion. Lyle tells Carlin that Nikki owned her own flower shop and had inherited money from her adoptive mother, who was single. Inside, Carlin runs into Corey, who's collecting the last of his belongings. He bitterly accuses Carlin of stealing the life he built. Lyle steps in, clarifying that it was Nikki's life, not Corey's, and suggests Corey should hand over his spare keys and leave immediately. Lyle also gives Carlin a note with the address of Nikki's flower shop, explaining that Nikki wanted it to stay open. Carlin doesn't know much about running a business, but Lyle reassures her that the shop is in good hands with April, Nikki's close friend and the talented manager. Carlin begins settling in, full of regret for not reconnecting with Nikki sooner. Later, Lyle introduces her to Denise, the social worker, and to Zoe. Zoe is shy, since she never even knew she had an aunt. Carlin is uneasy herself, but is determined to fulfill her duty to Nikki. That night, Carlin hears strange noises in the yard. Moments later, Zoe screams, frightened by a shadow she saw. Carlin rushes in to comfort her, assuming Zoe must have had a nightmare. In the morning, Carlin struggles to make Zoe's favorite pancakes, disappointing Zoe. To cheer her up, Carlin suggests they go out to a cafe and afterward visit the flower shop. Outside, Carlin meets Cheryl Hansen, a neighbor who was close to Nikki. Cheryl wants to tell Carlin something important about Corey, but before she can, Zoe interrupts, eager for breakfast. They agree to continue their conversation later. When Cheryl gets home and drinks her tea, she suddenly feels her throat closing and collapses, trying to reach her oxygen tank, but losing consciousness before she can. Meanwhile, Zoe is excited to see April at the flower shop, where Carlin meets Madison, another employee. April shares that she moved from the East just a year ago and that Nikki welcomed her warmly. Dave, a contractor who previously helped with shop renovations, also arrives. He, like the others, is deeply affected by Nikki's death. There's immediate chemistry between Dave and Carlin, and April notices it. The women have lunch together. April opens up about her cancer diagnosis 2 years ago. Though she's in remission now, she promised herself to never waste time after her second chance at life. After Carlin brings Zoe back home, she tries to check on Miss Hansen but gets no response, unaware that the elderly woman has passed away. April teaches Carlin how to design bouquets and handle different aspects of the flower business. The shop often gets big wedding orders, and with her skills as a photographer, Carlin will have steady clients to work with. Dave stops by with coffee for them and invites them to his colleague's birthday party, openly expressing his interest in Carlin. Slightly flustered, she agrees to go. After work, Carlin sees police and paramedics outside. The tragic loss of Cheryl Hansen shakes her, and she can't stop thinking about the old woman's unspoken warning about Corey. Stacy, Zoe's nanny, arrives as Carlin gets ready for the party. At the gathering, Carlin tells April and Dave about Cheryl's sudden death. Cheryl was discovered by her daughter, and, given her history of heart and lung issues, police claim she suffered a fatal attack. Mentioning Corey makes April and Dave visibly uneasy, so the three step aside for a private conversation. April confirms that Nikki and Corey's marriage had been rocky recently, but neither she nor Dave know the specifics. After the party, Carlin searches through Nikki's belongings and tries to unlock her phone, which is password protected. While Carlin leaves the room, someone sneaks into the house. Zoe senses this and wakes Carlin, claiming she saw the monster again, someone trying to take her away. Carlin reassures Zoe she'll never let that happen, all while clueless that the threat is real. The next morning, Zoe picks up her late mother's phone, missing her deeply. Carlin slips on some beads on the stairs, thinking Zoe dropped them. She asks Zoe if she knows the phone's password. It turns out to be Zoe's birth year. After Zoe leaves for school, Carlin explores the phone and discovers Nikki had received a message from an unknown number, which included a photo of Corey with his mistress, though the woman's face isn't visible. April hadn't heard anything about this, but it now explains Nikki's intent to divorce Corey. This evidence makes Carlin suspect Nikki's death may not have been an accident. Corey had motive since a divorce would mean losing everything. Curious, Carlin tries to dig up Corey's background. He has no criminal record and has never attracted police suspicion. Unwilling to give up, she asks Dave for help. Dave contacts Tim, a friend with IT skills, to track down who sent Nikki that message. It will take a few days. Meanwhile, Stacy is riding her bike when she's horrified to realize the brakes aren't working. Unable to stop, she crashes into an oncoming car. Carlin comes home to find Corey there. He says he dropped by after Stacy's accident to check on Zoe. Since Stacy will be in the hospital for weeks, Corey offers to look after Zoe, claiming he misses her and insists without giving Carlin a choice. Before leaving, he offers to handle Nikki's car's inspection, reminding her he's a mechanic and subtly warns it could break down soon, though Carlin brushes him off. Carlin and Zoe visit Stacy in the hospital, puzzled about her bike's failed brakes. While Zoe is in the restroom, neither realizes Corey is also nearby. Carlin, distracted by a call from April, panics when she finds Zoe gone, only to discover her with Corey in the hallway. Corey claims he's there to see Stacy too. That evening, Carlin tries to unwind with a glass of wine, but she can't shake the eerie feeling that she's not alone in the house. Carlin's suspicions are correct, though she isn't aware of the full truth yet. Later, while relaxing in the jacuzzi, Carlin suddenly loses consciousness and would have drowned if Zoe hadn't spotted her just in time. The next day, Carlin calls a locksmith to change the locks, convinced Corey, who probably had a spare key, broke in and drugged her wine. April urges her to go to the police immediately, which Carlin does. Unfortunately, without physical evidence, the police can't act. If she'd brought the wine bottle, they could have run tests, but the bottle is missing. For now, Carlin's claims that Corey intends to get the inheritance and will do anything to eliminate rivals are just speculation. They realize they'll have to rely on themselves for protection. No one else can help. Meanwhile, Dave's friend in IT cannot track down who sent Nikki the anonymous message, as it came from a disposable SIM card. Someone must have tried to warn Nikki, but wanted to stay hidden. When Dave tells April about this, he notices her bracelet is identical to the one worn by the mystery woman in Corey's photo. Unable to reach Carlin by phone, Dave records a message pointing to April as the culprit. But before he can send it, April sneaks up and knocks him unconscious at the flower shop, removes her bracelet, and covers her tracks. Carlin is racked with guilt for not protecting Nikki, regretting how she kept her distance when her sister needed her. Nikki always looked for the good in people, and Carlin realizes that may have gotten her sister killed. April, pretending to be supportive, calls Carlin and urges her to come to the hospital. Dave is now in a coma, and the doctors aren't sure if he'll survive. April claims Dave was found near some dumpsters and hints he may have learned compromising information about Corey. She invites Carlin and Zoe to stay at her place, promising Corey won't find them. Fully trusting her supposed friend, Carlin agrees, believing April is only looking out for them. Still feeling responsible for Dave's troubles, Carlin is determined to find out who attacked him. While Carlin leaves to pack, April sneaks into Dave's hospital room to inject something into his fore, but a nurse walks in and tells her visiting hours are over, stopping her just in time. While packing, Carlin discovers a gun among Nikki's belongings. That evening, she arrives at April's house with Zoe and her suitcase, grateful and eager to trust April. She even hands her Nikki's gun, unaware of the danger. That night, when April comes into the room, Zoe is terrified, convinced she's seen the same monster that's been appearing to her recently. Meanwhile, Dr. Edwards receives Nikki's autopsy report and urgently requests Corey's contact info. Trying to maintain her perfect image, April offers to drive Zoe to school. Dr. Edwards calls Corey and reveals Nikki was killed by a poison found in certain flowers, not from fainting and a head injury. Shocked, Corey can barely respond. Carlin sits by Dave's side, convinced Corey is behind everything. Right after she leaves, Dave wakes up. Corey visits April's house and confronts her with the news that Nikki was poisoned, but insists he had nothing to do with her death. He admits his affair with April was just a drunken mistake. April confesses to killing Nikki and Cheryl Hansen, who saw her with Corey, and sending Nikki the anonymous message. Now, she plans to blame Corey for everything by eliminating Carlin and making it look like he did it. Corey threatens to go to the police, and April attacks him. A violent struggle breaks out. As Carlin rushes in, she helps April, knocking Corey unconscious. Carlin is certain Corey was the aggressor in the fight. She rushes upstairs for some rope to tie him up and, while searching, discovers photos of Zoe in a drawer, puzzled by their presence. Downstairs, April points a gun at Carlin and orders her to return. It's then April reveals she is actually Zoe's biological mother. Years ago, when Zoe was born, April couldn't care for her, and the child was taken away by social services. After undergoing chemotherapy, April became unable to have more children, making Zoe her only hope of having a family. April admits she intentionally took the job at Nikki's flower shop just to get close to Zoe. Her plan was to use Corey as a scapegoat, but Carlin's unexpected involvement threatened to unravel everything. Meanwhile, Detective Addison arrives at the flower shop looking for Carlin, but only Madison is there. Back at the house, April intends to poison Carlin and eliminate her, so she can eventually obtain custody of Zoe. As April is distracted, Carlin quickly dumps the poison into a vase and manages to grab the gun from April. At that moment, the police burst in and arrest April. Corey, though badly injured, survives. Carlin and Zoe are finally safe. Soon after, Carlin and Zoe visit Corey and Dave in the hospital. Everyone is shocked at who April truly was. Despite all they've been through, Carlin gains not just a daughter, but also finds love. She feels guilty for ever suspecting Corey, realizing he genuinely loved Nikki and Zoe was never about the money. He loves Zoe as his own. Now, the future for Carlin, Corey, and Zoe finally looks bright.